Hey guys, Mr. Moki here, and today I have my updated hero deck profile for you guys. How long has it been since I actually did a hero deck profile? I don't remember, but it doesn't matter, because it's here, and it's here to save the day with the power of justice! Yeah! I'm sorry. Anyway, what I'm gonna do for you guys is get right into it. Is 3 Shadow Mist, pretty self-explanatory. 3 Bubble Man. This is also pretty self-explanatory, though I was testing just 2 Bubble Man. And I actually found that I didn't need the 3rd Bubble Man, but I was always in situations where I would want the 3rd Bubble Man. I didn't need it to win, but I did want it to do stuff. So I decided to put it back up to 3 though, so it was nice. For the other heroes that I play, the more unconventional kind of elemental heroes, I play 1 Blaze Man and 1 Neosalius for fire and light targets. I don't play Goka, don't worry. I just like the plays that you can do with Blaze Man. I don't play Poly either. I just use it for its milling effect to get like Neosalius to the graveyard, or Shadow Mist to the graveyard, or even sometimes Bubbleman to the graveyard, so that he can take on the different element and load up my graveyard for other things. The reason that I play these 2 is that I didn't want this deck to just be Darklaw.deck. I wanted it to be heroes and have different elements. As much as I wish Stratos would come back so that we could get the wind element back into this deck, we're just going to have to wait and see if Konami ever does that. But yeah, this is what I've been doing. I mean, Blaze Man is kind of like a Stratos substitute, but obviously not as good. So this is what we'll be running with. For the other monsters, obviously 2 Goblinberg and 2 Summoner Monk. Pretty obvious, pretty standard. Basically Summoner Monk just to ditch those spells like Hero Lives. If I don't want to activate Hero Lives first turn, I can just ditch it and special summon Shadow Mist, get those mass changes. Yeah, moving on to the spells. 3 Hero Lives, pretty standard. 3 E-Call. E-Call was something I was debating on downgrading to 2. And I believe that's what other people are doing since they don't run as many elemental heroes. But since I do run a little bit more elemental heroes than the standard elemental hero decks that you do see, I think 3 Call is very well necessary. And I also run Rhoda, which is pretty standard as well. Moving on to the 3 mask changes. Mass change was something that I was running even before the structure deck got announced. I was ready for the mass hero brigade, so I got the supers right away. And honestly, I was so happy when the structure deck got announced. Not as happy when everybody started playing heroes, but I mean, like, that's to be expected. Heroes is just such a well-loved deck. But for me, I don't want it to just be Darklaw. I mean, Darklaw is really, really good this format, but I just, like, it's something that about me as a hero player, I want to have more access to other heroes. I want it to be different, which is why I do run the 2 Miracle Fusion, in order to get access to some other elemental hero fusions in the extra deck, just like Shining, Absolute Zero, and Nova. I don't run other elemental hero fusions. I did want to run Contrast Hero Chaos, but there was like lack of space, and honestly, just he's too hard to get out. But yeah, moving on. We're gonna have 2 Twin Twista. Even though Pepe is kind of dying slowly, because of the adjusted list. I guess we'll figure out if they're fully dead when the ban list comes out. But for right now, they're pretty much dead. Even Locals has started implementing the adjusted ban list, so yeah. And because of that, like, people are just migrating over to Monarchs, and Darklaw still fucks with Monarchs, so whatever. But yeah, Twin Twister is still a really good card to run in Heroes. Moving on, one Instant Fusion. You might be wondering, why not another Instant Fusion, Mr. Moki? And the answer is simple. I have a soul, and I would really like to keep my morals intact. So yeah, if you feel like you can be a scumbag and rock that, you can totally run more Instant Fusion, and you can do that. I believe in you. Just try your best to not lose your soul in that. So yeah, moving on to the last spell is one Regeki, which is pretty self-explanatory. Next, we got onto the traps. 2 Call of the Haunted. Honestly, 3 Call of the Haunted is very well viable. I just run 2 because of space. The way I have my deck set up, I've only got 2. But 3 is definitely good, especially with Blazeman. If you have a Call of the Haunted and Blazeman in hand, you can just first turn, use Blazeman's effect, send Shadow Mist, search, set Call of the Haunted, and then during your opponent's end phase, activate Call of the Haunted, special summon Shadow Mist, get Mass Change. That fun stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you have room for 3, do it. I kind of want to do 3 as well. Moving on to the 1 Mirror Force. Honestly, there's times where I find I really want to take this card out, but the only reason why you keep it in is because it's so good with Darklaw. But yeah, and the Cosmo matchup. The sucky thing is about Heroes is that it really has a bad matchup against Cosmos, and that's what everybody. If it's not Monarchs, they're migrating towards Cosmos this format because of the adjusted list, and it's really hard to deal with Cosmos. Thankfully, people like Monarchs a little bit more simply because they're cheaper. You spend $30 on 3 structure decks and you have a competitive deck instead of spending, like, how much is Dark Destroyer right now? 180 last I saw it. Could be less, could be more. I don't even know. I think it was even more than that. It might even be close to $200. So I know a lot of people would rather go for the cheaper option, buy themselves some Monarch structure decks as opposed to getting some Cosmo shit. Yeah. But moving on, Vanity's Emptiness, still a good card. Vanity's Emptiness plus Darklaw is a really hard fucking lock to get around, but yeah. Moving on, you can probably guess what's in my extra deck from this. Bottomless, Time Space Trap Hole, Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare, and Void Trap Hole. Instead of Fiendish Chains, I've decided to go with this kind of thing. Bottomless was in there anyway, but I mean, these kinds of cards are always there because of Trap Tricks for Falsia. And yeah, these cards are too good if you can just activate it from the deck. You guys might be wondering why not Treacherous Trap Hole. It's because I do run a good amount of traps, so I don't want to draw into Treacherous Trap Hole and have traps in the graveyard already, so I figured that these were good. Treacherous Trap Hole probably wasn't needed. No matter how good Treacherous Trap Hole is, I just don't think in a deck like this with the trap heavy lineup is necessary. Moving on to counter traps, I have the 1 strike, the 1 warning. I do want another strike, but you know, being a scrub in scrub life. I do have 1 dark bribe, which is really good with Darklaw, and 1 Grand Horn of Heaven, which is really good with Darklaw as well, because if they draw when you negate whatever the summon or the spell and trap card, then you can just activate Darklaw's effect and banish from their hand as well from whatever they drew. So that's really good. I was actually heavily debating on taking the Grand Horn out now because everybody's migrating away from pendulums. But I'm keeping it in there. If I get the 2nd strike, I might just replace the Grand Horn with the 2nd strike. So yeah, but I feel like the Dark Bribe is really good, especially if you go Darklaw turn 1 and set this, and they decide to be like, okay, Regeki, and I'm like, okay, yeah, Dark Bribe, draw 1 and I'll banish 1 from your hand. Yeah. Alright, moving on to the extra deck. It should be fairly obvious. I run 2 Darklaw, some people may run 3, I think 2 is just a good number. Obviously, you can't not run Darklaw, as much as I think he is a really scummy card. He is what's keeping Heroes alive. and he's what's keeping like heroes in the game right now. So yeah. Moving on, we got the one Anki for Mass Hero-ness, one Acid, and then I run the one Koga. People probably don't run Koga because they don't run Alias, but yeah, these two are pretty standard. And Koga, you would actually be surprised how many games Koga has won me. But yeah, I digress. Moving on to the Elemental Hero fusions, just the one App Zero, the one Shining, and the one Nova Master. Honestly, guys, these guys just catch so many people off guard when you activate Miracle Fusion. It just gives options to the deck, which is really nice. But yeah, like a lot like these guys are still good. Like these guys have not like are still a threat. And then of course one Norden to round up the fusions because of instant fusion. Moving on to the Xyz, one Castel, pretty obvious. One Heroic Challenger Excalibur, pretty obvious. Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller might not be that needed because of Dark Law, but I still run them in here anyway. Dark Rebellion, Ghost Rare Form, and then of course Trap Tricks for Falsia. I'm probably gonna end up making space for Utopia and Utopia the Lightning when they come out. I probably will end up taking Abyss Dweller, maybe even Dark Rebellion out of the deck, the extra deck when Utopia the Lightning comes out, because Utopia the Lightning is so good, and Trap Tricks for Falsia. First turn play with Dark Law is also really fucking dumb. I'll go into the side deck really quick, but it's obviously with locals and stuff like that. It's not that hard. I run 2 Flying Sea just for that. I run only 2 System Down simply because of Cosmos. I don't have any Chimera Tech Fortress Dragons, and I really wish I did because Cosmos are a problem for heroes. But yeah. Moving on, I do have the 2 Anti-Spell Fragrances for people who are still trying to run Pendulums. I have 2 Light Imprisoning Mirrors, 4 Cosmos, and potentially Monarchs as well. And I do have 2 Fairy Winds for other Pendulum decks. I might just be taking these out because Dark Law, like, honestly just fucks with Pendulums in general. And then, moving on, Mask of Restrict for Monarchs. It's so nice. I got the 2 Mind Crush, which is a pretty decent side card all around, and then Crush Card Virus because you can run it because Summoner Monk and Shadow Mist are targets. But yeah, at locals with this deck, I usually top or I usually get the first, so it's always nice. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and remember to rate, comment, and SCRUB-Scribe. Peace.